Hey, my name is Jeremy. I'm a designer and illustrator from Sydney, Australia. In this class, I'm going to be showing you how to create some awesome looking logos. So what we're going to do, I'm going to be showing you my process of creating a logo mark from scratch, using some inspiration online and really doing some research and finding some stuff in books and really just combining some tips and tricks that you can use for your own projects and build your portfolio up. I'm going to take you through the process of doing some different variations, of taking it to Illustrator and using the tools in there and really creating a cohesive logo that's going to work for any project. So what you have to do is create a space themed logo mark using basic sketches and then upload your final result into Skillshare. So yeah, get stuck in and roll now, and I look forward to creating some awesome logos. So what is logo design? Logos are signs, they're marks of identity designed for easy recognition. That's just what it says in the book Logos by Michael Evermy. I love that. It's just a simple definition of what a logo is. A logo is the first impression someone sees of someone's brand. A logo is not a brand identity. It's not an identity itself. It's a logo, it's a mark, it's a symbol representing a business or a brand or a company. See, look at these two doors. I want you to see which one would you most likely enter. Obviously, the first one, it looks like an abandoned door, maybe some dirty basement or warehouse. It's got even a lock on it, and it's very dirty and rustic and doesn't look appealing. But if you look at the one to the right, you can see that it looks like a nice, maybe a house or a mansion. It's got some nice vines and the door looks clean. It's got a nice wood embellishment on it. It's got a doorbell and it looks very appealing. So a logo is the first impression someone sees when they come into a brand or they interact or experience a business for the first time. So the logo is the first door. It's a good, simple analogy. So if the door looks good and appealing, then people want to check out more. So logos are very important. It's not the most important, but it is one of the keys to having an effective brand. So it's always good to design good logos that are going to work well for the target audience, as well as ultimately bring profit in for a business and allow people to know that brand for the future. So a cool quote by Dieter Rams. He's an awesome product designer. He was from Germany. This awesome quote goes, "Good design is innovative, makes products useful, aesthetic, makes products understandable, unobtrusive, honest, long-lasting, thorough, environmentally friendly, and is as little design as possible." I just love that quote. There's so much things about design that people, the normal people can't catch and they don't understand. But if you really know what design is, it's very important in today's age. You see design everywhere, on packaging, on signs, when we catch transport or the train, in books, everywhere. It's very important, it's one of the key things that as humans we need in our life, or we wouldn't have clear messaging on things. So I just love this quote and I thought that would be helpful, which is awesome. When you look at this, what do you see? I'm pretty sure you would have already guessed it. It is McDonald's. If I added the red color, you'd probably get it straight away, but sometimes it might take a few seconds. But you can see it's just their simple mark of the arched M and a yellow M. So it's simple, it's a mark, it's a logo, and straight away you can identify it, because that's what logos do. They identify, it's a mark. They identify it with a certain brand or a personality, which is the key. So that's just a quick example of, a great logo that's obviously, global and works well. Same as Nike as well. That tick, it can be used forever. It's awesome. Another cool, quick quote from Saul Bass. He's an amazing designer as well. "Logos are a graphic extension of the internal realities of a company." So, logos are one of the fundamental things you need as a graphic designer. It's one of the main skills you need, because you're going to use it whether you're working in-house, if you're doing freelancing, if you're working, in an agency or doing whatever, you're going to need this skill as a graphic designer, and it's very important. So I'm going to show you some different types of logos that are mainly and commonly used in today's age. So the first one is logo marks. I'm going to show you a quick example. Don't mind the blurry images, they're just from Google. It's just for examples. I don't own these logos, but I'll show some examples of my logos later on. But you can see this is a logo mark. You can see it's mainly a symbol. It's just one mark. It's sort of like an icon, but it's more of an abstract logo. So these are some examples of a logo mark. It's more simple. It doesn't have any typography. You can see some of them has letters in it. That's true, but it's a standalone. It's just a logo mark, which is pretty awesome. And they can have color. They can be black and white. The second one is a word mark. So what a word mark is for example, you can see Disney and Coca-Cola. It's pretty much a custom typography or a lettering that is used as a standalone logo. So that's what a word mark is. It's the main logo for a company. Even Stussy there, that's a brand, and this can be really good to get a certain type of look. Maybe it's a bigger company, or maybe it's a vintage company and you want that nice calligraphy feel. Using type gives it that personality and gives that custom, vintage look as well, depending what you're using. But it's also can be used for a modern context as well, which is pretty awesome. Third one is a letter mark. Similar to word mark, but this one is just like a monogram. A monogram is pretty much when you combine 2 or 3 or more letters to create one symbol. So you can see here, we got the GE, we got the EA is combined. So it's a letter mark. It's just using, a few letters and combining it into, one symbol. And then they can put it, within a nested shape. It can be standalone, or just be combined, like ligature type of connection with the type, which makes it pretty cool. So that's a letter mark. The fourth one is a combination mark. So these ones are pretty fun to do. This is a combination of typography and a symbol or a mark. So you can see there, these are the main ones, Adidas, Domino's, Converse, and even that KFC one, that's more of a mascot as well. But we won't go into detail about that. So you can see here, these are combined, even Puma one's pretty sweet. It's got, the silhouette of a Jaguar and then just simple bold type, and it gives it that nice sporty feel, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, that's a combination mark. And then we have emblem. So emblem is like in a badge format. I love doing badge designs, but I can see a lot of sport type of logos do it. It's even interesting, the famous Starbucks and Harley Davidson, they use this type of emblem style design, or you can call it badge design as well. So this is really cool. If you want a very youthful feel, and it's more experimental. It's, more out there and abstract, which is, makes it more unique, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to show you a few other examples of styles that I like. There's negative space, geometric, there's badges, there's sport types of logos. And here's a few examples of that. As you can see there, the bunny in the top, that's a negative space logo. And the second one is a geometric. Then the one in the bottom left is more of a badge style. And then the fourth one is a sports type of logo. So you can see there's so many different styles of logo. So that's why you always have to do your research before starting a project, so you know what your client needs and what the target audience needs as well. So you can specifically design for that, and not just design anything, but that's why, you got to understand the different styles. So I'm just going to show you a few examples of my logos I've done in the past. This is some of the old stuff I've done, like in 2014 when I first started designing. Some of it was a bit bad, but this is sort of my better stuff. But there's heaps of logos I've done that are being crappy. I used to even do it in Photoshop when I wasn't even using Illustrator, and that was pretty messy. But yeah, you can just see examples here, and then you can see how it slowly improved. This is 2015 and 2016 as well. You can see I started getting into a bit of lettering, and then I started getting into badges and stuff. You can see they're just experimenting, and some were for clients, some was for just fun. And then you can see this is 2016, 2017 as well. So you can see slowly improved, started practicing, doing design more, started getting some more freelance projects. And then you can see my logo design started getting better and better and better. And I'm always improving and learning as well. So that's just some examples of my work. And yeah, I'm going to give you 10 logo design tips that I use and that you should be using whenever you're doing a logo design, because it's very important that you try and follow these steps. So number one is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate the logo. Keep it clear and concise. So, look at the Nike logo. It's just a tick. Look at the Macca's logo. It's just an M. Keep it simple. I'm not saying all logos should be simple, depending on what the client needs. But you want to try and keep it as clear as possible, so when people see it, whatever age they are, if they're young or old, they'll be able to recognize it clearly and distinctly. So you don't want to put too many effects and drop shadows and all that stuff. Just keep it as simple as possible so that it's easy to understand and that it's legible as well. Number two is keep it memorable. Let it be on top of the mind of consumers and allow them to remember it for years. So as soon as they look at your logo, as soon as they turn away, they should be, and if you ask them 30 seconds later what they just saw, they should be able to remember it. If they can't remember it, then your logo is too complicated. So you want to make sure they remember it, even if it's a week from now, a month from now. But when they see it, they recognize that, oh yeah, I remember that. It looked like it's a lion or whatever it is. And they should be able to remember it. So it's got to be unique, got to be distinct. Number 3 is consistency. It has to correlate with the brand and the style and personality of the brand. And it has to be consistent with spacing, with the balance, with symmetry, all those type of things, and even hierarchy as well. You got to put those design principles into practice here. So keep it consistent, make sure it's not all over the place, obviously depending on what type of style of logo you're designing, but make sure it's in line with the brand and with the brief as well, and you're going to obviously design a better logo. Appropriate. You always want to keep it related with the brand's identity. Obviously, you got to keep in mind that sometimes you can see on the net, people design logos and it looks like something else, like it looks like an inappropriate, or has a correlation to sexual images, which can be bad, and maybe they didn't intend for that, but it looks like that. So you got to keep in mind the shapes you're using and every style. You got to keep in mind the shapes you're using and everything that you're adding into the logo to make sure that it's appropriate, as well as for the brand. If you're designing for a financial firm, you're not going to put like bright yellow colors in like yellow and blue and make it colorful. It's going to be a simple logo, but obviously it's for like kids' playground or something, then it's going to be more vibrant. So keep it appropriate to the brand and design that you're designing for. Be unique. So avoid cliche things, always customize and explore different concepts. Don't always stick with the literal. You can always make it more of a motif or a metaphor. It doesn't have to be like a literal logo. Keep it unique and avoid trends as well. So you always want to customize your logo and get fresh ideas. Don't copy others. You don't want to always be scouring through Dribbble or Pinterest, and those things are good, but you got to keep in mind that it's going to influence your mind and your ideas and your thoughts. So you always want to try and, research and go through books and go for a walk and get your own ideas flowing, and then do lots of sketches. And then through that process, you're going to find something that's going to work and be unique and not just the standard logos that people directly go for straight away. Typography. Typography is very important. So you got to pick the right typeface because it enhances the personality. Sometimes if you're not doing a letter mark or a typography mark, usually there will be typography involved in the part of the brand. So it's very important that you use the right typeface, whether it's sans serif, serif, script, or a brush font. You got to keep in mind what's going to be most effective for the brand and what's going to communicate the brand's values and principles best to the target audience using this typography, especially in the logo. It's got to make sure it's clear, it's easy to read, and it reflects that personality. Another cool thing is you have to keep it black and white. Another important tip is that you have to make sure the logo works in black and white. Don't always jump into color. You want to see in grayscale, because usually in black and white you can see the negative space and the white space as well, and you can see if it's more balanced. And also you want to check it in small sizes and big sizes in that black and white format. And then once you've done that, then you can elaborate and expand on it, because if a logo usually works in black and white, it's going to work in color and it's going to work in other forms as well. So it's best to test it like this first, then go on to expanding it and developing the logo. An important one is color. Color evokes emotion and it draws the right target audience to the logo. So as I said before, if you're designing for a firm or an accounting firm, you want to use colors like blue. If it's for like a place that does growth, or maybe it's for investments, or it's like a plant place, so they sell plants, then green earthy tones like browns and grays and that type of thing, then you can use those colors. So you always use colors that are going to relate and that the target audience will most recognize. Another cool fact is that blue builds trust, and this comes into color theory. So, and the funny thing is that women and men both enjoy like blue, but the color, if you put a color yellow, it's 60 to 70% of women like that color instead of men. So these are just cool tips that you should know when you're doing color. You have to be adaptable as well. The logo should be able to be used in every context. Whether it's on a little pin or a badge, whether it's on a booklet, whether it's on a brochure or on the web page or on a billboard or a poster, it has to be adaptable. It has to be able to work in small sizes and big sizes, on digital and on print. It's got to work on both. So you want to make sure that you're designing the logo that's going to be able to be adaptable, even on t-shirts and everything. So you got to take that into consideration. And when you're designing, make sure the process that you have the flexibility to actually edit it and always change it in case things come up and you have to edit things as well. So remember, it has to be adaptable. Now, lastly, it has to be timeless. Longevity is important. Don't design fads and stay away from, the cliche trends and logo trends, because they fade away. Sometimes it's good to, practice for that, but you want to keep it timeless, especially if you're designing for bigger brands. You want that logo to last forever. You don't want them to keep changing the logo every year or every 2 years. You want it to last for 5, 10, 15 years before they have to, update it. So keep that in mind as well. You want the logo to be timeless, and it's going to have an effect on the overall brand success. So I want to show you an example of a great logo design done by Pentagram, owned by Michael Beirut, awesome designer. Their team created a logo for MIT Media Lab, which is in Massachusetts. And you can see their old logo here, and this was the new logo here on the right. Just on this site called Brand New. And I love it because it shows the process. A good logo should be adaptable. It should be able to expand into the whole brand. So when you start off with a good logo and you design it well, then it can be used in a variety of uses, and it can extend to all capacities. So that's why you want to make sure your logo design is always well done. So you can see here, they just use a simple grid. They used the grid from the old logo, as you can see here, and they applied it to that new logo. And what they did, they just kept it simple, using just a simple stroke and type. And then what that did was allowed them to use that grid and use it for multiple uses. So you can see here was the main logo, just like that. Clean, simple, balanced, symmetrical, and has the appropriate white space, and awesome. So you can see some different ways of using the logo here. And because it was MIT, such a big brand, and they have many departments, you can see now how the logo, by using that grid, extends into multiple other logos, just like that. And you can see here they use it for everything, and it's really awesome. They can use a wide range of acronyms for each of the research groups, as it says there. It's powerful. You can watch a little video there. They even used that same grid and built a typography, a typeface out of it, which is awesome. They built their own typeface, which is super cool. Just from that one logo. See, that one logo expanded into all these other characters and other things. You can see there, they've built even an icon set from that. And then you can see some of the branding, the print design there. Boom, boom, boom. It's just simple logo, a simple idea and concept that actually flows and works well. You can see there the uses it's being used in the actual place. Patterns on the walls. Some posters. Even a cube. And there you have it, Just from one simple logo that's adaptable and flexible, and they, did the research and they worked it all out, it can be very great. So, logo design is important, and it's going to have a big impact on your portfolio and help you grow as a graphic designer. Logo design is so much fun, and it's so interesting because you can find inspiration anywhere in your world. I usually always carry my phone with me or a camera and just take photos, when I'm out with friends, or if I go out for lunch, or even if I'm traveling around or doing some work. I'll always pay attention to my surroundings, whether I'm in the city or in the country. It doesn't matter. I'm always ready to take a quick picture. If I see some cool type, or if I see some nice colors, you always want to be alert, and that's where you're going to find the best inspiration, not online, but when you're out in the world. I'm going to show you some links that I found useful, and I've got plenty of links. As you can see, I've got all these folders up here in my link, in my Chrome, but I'm just on my Instagram right now, and you can see, if I scroll down, you can see how I love, badge style logos. I love simple, minimal logos. I love logo types, different marks. There's so many different types of logos you can create. So I'm going to just show you some things that I use. One of the first ones is Pinterest. I love using Pinterest because it's easy just to chuck your images on there, as well as adding photos online. So you can actually download an extension that allows you to just quickly upload photos from other websites and make a quick board. It's good for mood boards, inspiration. And you can see here, is it different styles that I love. Anything I like, I just throw it on here. You can see here, this is like badge style logos, which I love doing. It's the best when you want to play around with typography or you want to get a retro vintage feel. So that's really cool. And you can see I have another logo design board here as well. It's so good to explore and, get inspiration from other designers and see what they do, learn off them, as well as experiment yourself. You're not going to get good unless you practice and experiment and just play around with stuff. There's no rules, just, do your best and just play around and get better. When I first started, my logos looked pretty bad, but then over time, my ideas started evolving and my thinking patterns started getting better. Another inspiration is Dribble. Dribble is amazing. It's got the best designers. A lot of it is visual design. Sometimes it doesn't show the thinking behind it, but it's okay to look at it and, get some inspiration. Don't always spend too much time on here because, you're not going to learn anything. So you can see here's some of the people I follow. You can see here, got some logos, got some monoline type of stuff. I love illustration as well, but I love scrolling through here. If I'm lacking some inspiration, I'll just jump on here really quick and then type in some tags at the top. So you can type in some tags here and we'll find something cool. Another thing as well is getting some books. Logo Design Love by David Airy is an awesome book. You can see here's a quick video. He just shows you some stuff in there. It's a highly recommended book. I recommend you get that, as well as a few other ones that I'll mention later on. Logopond.com is awesome as well. You can see, I love how you got some featured logos here. So you can scroll here. A lot of great designs. Obviously, you don't know the context. Sometimes people just make logos for fun. Maybe it's for a client. And the cool thing is you can actually filter it through this. So you can see if you want to see a student's work, you can click on that. And it's actually going to filter through that. So you can see all these students' works. If you want to see client work, you can click that and filter it all out. So you can see it's a bit slow, but this is how you can see and get some inspiration that way. Another cool thing is Logo Lounge. This is another popular one as well. You can actually get an account on here, but I think it's like $100 or something a month or a year, sorry. And it's got great designs. This is more professional and for the older type of crowd that use this. But you can see he got logos here. You can also click up here for different logos, and you can even look at the trends as well. So you can see here, look, you have to sign up if you want to upload your logos or see more. And you can even click on trends, and it's going to show you all the latest trends. As you can see there, they've been doing it for a while, and it's really awesome. You can learn a lot from them. Another cool site is logoinspiration.net. This is pretty cool as well. You can see here, you just got some inspiration, even branding, and you can search by categories as well. So I go to categories, I can go logo types, and then I can just look at any one of these. So maybe I want a lettermark type of logo. It should load up. As you can see, lettermark type, boom, you get some awesome logos. It's really nice. Let's get some inspiration there. Another good one is abzedu.com. This one doesn't purely focus on logo design, but it's a bit of a mix. But I just typed in logo design in the search bar, and this is what popped up. So you can see, and a lot of it will show you the design process they go through, whoever writes the post. So this is another one I love. And if you go to the main page, you'll find some different stuff here. So they do a lot of mix of everything, but this is just a few blogs that I follow. Another one good is Creative Block. You can find some logo design tips here. They also recommend books and programs and processes and videos and tutorials and everything. I love this one. I used to always learn off this when I was in college. This is one of the best blogs I used to always follow. So right now I'm going to show you some personal designers that I love and follow. One of the main ones is Aaron Draplin. He's awesome. I've learned a lot from him. His book is also really good as well. I think it's Everything Draplin. I think you click on here, it's the DDC book. Yeah, so pretty much everything Aaron Draplin. You got to get that book. It's really awesome. And you can see here, I just went on his work, and you can see all his logos, his past clients. And I love logo design because it's just simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You have a simple concept, and you work with it. And, you come up with many ideas. It's not always your first ideas that are initially going to work. It's the many bad ideas that lead to the good idea. And I love how he just puts up most of his identities, and it's just so sweet. So you can get some quick inspiration, not just to copy them, but to get some inspiration and see how they're playful and what he's done, which is awesome. Another cool one is Alan Peters. He's awesome as well. And I'm just on his logos page, and I love these ones. They're super cool. And they're really well designed. And he's a professional designer. He's been doing it for many years. And I love this type of logo design. A lot of the logo designers I follow are from America, which is pretty cool. So you can just see they're scrolling through, just checking out those logos, which is awesome. Another one is Von Glitchka as well. I've learned a lot from him. He's got a really vector-based style, which I like. And it's very illustrative as well. So you can see he does a mix of stuff. He's got logo design here. And then he does a lot of the illustration. But you can see some of his logos here. It's so awesome. Really well done. And he knows what he's doing. It's perfect. So he's another designer I follow. Another popular one is Nick Slater as well. A lot of people may know him from Dribble or Instagram, but he's awesome. He does a lot of badge style logos, which I love as well. And he experiments and plays around, and he's always learning and growing, and it's awesome to follow that. You can see here just on his portfolio page, and you can see different stuff, playing around with type, playing around with monoline logos, badges, awesome stuff. I love that. So yeah, that's just some inspiration where I go to look, online, some blogs, some places to build up my own mood boards and stuff like that on Pinterest, and then also designers that I follow. So, the best thing to do is, use these inspiration, and it's going to really build your mind and your thinking, and it's going to allow you to, draw ideas from, not necessarily copy, but it's going to help you, build up yourself and build up your portfolio too. Here are some books I use to find some inspiration and some tools I use when I'm doing my sketches and designing. So the first one is How To by Michael Beirut. It's an awesome book. It shows you his branding processes and all the big clients he's worked with. It also shows you some good logo designs in there. It shows the logos in context, as you can see here. I love looking in here and looking at his process and the way he thinks, because that's how you learn of those people who've actually worked in that industry. And you can see here just some examples of some good identities and logos, which I love to look at and see them in their full form, which is pretty awesome. Another good one is Pretty Much Everything by Aaron Draplin. I love his design style, his vector-based style. He's an awesome logo designer, and in his book he's got all his life's work, and you can see his sketches, his logos. When he goes junking, you can see all like the patches and stuff that he's got that he uses for inspiration. You can find symbols in there, color, and really just learn some tips and tricks of him as well in that book. So it's really awesome to check it out. And I love how he shows his process from, some client work he's done, and even the basic sketches that he does. See, a logo just starts with a simple idea. It's not complicated. It just has to start off with one simple concept, and then you break it down and create, a nice logo and symbol from it. So you can see here just going through for some inspiration, and I love this book. It's a must buy if you want some inspiration. So the third one is Logo by Michael Evermy. It's got some cool information in there as well about logos. But the book is just full of different symbols, logos, logo types, letter marks. It's full of everything. So I love it. If you want a quick inspiration, most likely all your ideas, most likely someone's already done it in this world. So it's good to just go back and just get some little tips and see some little patterns that you see that you can actually use in your own modern logos today. And I love this book. It's really for just a quick burst of inspiration and looking at all the types of different logos in here. And as you can see, it's got some cool ones and I love it. Here are my few tools. I use a 2B mechanical pencil. The lead lasts longer and you can actually have a nicer grip. And then I just use a Copic liner 0.5 thickness just to go over my lines to give them that nice harder look. Just a simple eraser, and then I use a 2B pencil with the plain Moleskine notebook. Before I start any logo design, I always jump into sketching first. Never jump into Illustrator straight away because it's gonna actually cause you to waste time. You always want to spend more time sketching, getting out your initial ideas, and then brainstorming, exploring, because with your hand, it's more freehand. You can flow with it. You can be rough. You don't have to focus on the details. That's why I love sketching. And what I do first is try and write down some words, which I did on the other page, and making connections. So my idea was doing a space camp. So, think of camping from space, rockets, planets, like all these things, and I make connections. And what I'll start to do is start to write down in capital letters, in lowercase letters, and using the SC as a monogram. And that's what I'll start to see on the left page. You can see that That's what I first start to do. Start just to write out things, just be really rough and quick. It doesn't have to be crazy, you know? You can just use simple shapes, simple letters. But maybe if I wanted to go not a letter mark, but more of a symbol or a logo mark. So I started sketching out, some astronaut helmets, and, some planets, some rockets, and trying to incorporate the whole logo, the word mark, and maybe an abstract logo mark together. So that's what I tried to do. You can see here, I just explore and always sketch. It's going to improve your drawing skills the more you do it, but always try and aim for a few pages, even more. And this is a crucial process when you're doing your logo design. And then as you can see here, as I start to finalize it, I start to focus on one idea and I start to blow it up and make it bigger. And then what I'll do, I'll take a picture of that and bring into Illustrator and start to work on that. So yeah, you get sketching and start to work on your projects.